Hey everyone, we've been having quite a November. So far in November, the NASDAQ is up almost 10%. I think it's 9.7% to be exact. And the QQQ and the TQQQ, I always add too many Qs, are doing wonderful. The QQQ is the 100 largest stocks on the NASDAQ. It's made about 5%, as you can see from the chart. And the TQQQ has made about 15%, which is what you expected to make. But notice it also goes down more when things go down, as you can see from the chart, but it rockets forward when the market goes up. So that's the way I like to play it. I'm fairly good at seeing when it's going down and when it's going up. The market reacts so strongly to headline news. The TQQQ is triple leverage, so it's triple the gain and triple the risk. I guess I've gotten to be an aggressive trader because I find that's the way I make the most money. When the market is acting like it's not in an uptrend, I'd simply stay out of the market and collect the 5% interest. You got to determine what the trend is. And when it's downward, as it was in previous months, I would do the SQQQ, which is shorting the QQQ, and it's triple leverage. So you make $3 for every dollar that the QQQ goes down. So I like to play it both ways. I think it can easily be done, at least for me at this point. I've had enough experience. I've been doing this for 40 years. I've got a real good hang on how things go. And these 7 magical companies, the majestic 7, the Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Tesla, Microsoft, Meta, and NVIDIA, they are truly majestic and they're truly wonderful. They continue to bring in the profits. And I think it is very difficult to pick which one of these is the best. In my mind, they're all the best. They're all going to do well and they're all going to pan out in any reasonable kind of scenario going forward. But you never know about those black swan events. And since 2019, we've had black swan events and unprecedented things happening, like the Fed deciding that it was going to replace the economy. And that's what skews things and sends interest rates flying now as they're soaking up the money that they printed out endlessly during the health problems. There's other news that provides sort of a tailwind to the stock market going up. And one minor factor might be Ukraine seems to be holding their own and to be making some progress, although it is very difficult to tell who is winning that war. We hope that Ukraine is successful, but Congress is dividing the funding up in such a way that they're going to approve most things necessary for this country in one part of the budget and then deal with aid to Ukraine and Israel later on. So we'll have to see what's going to happen with that. They're supposed to come to some agreement by Friday. We will see what comes to pass. So they might get some agreement by Friday. There's actually the thought that the Democrats might help support at least the first part of this budget going through if they do it that way. But it's always it comes down to the last minute. You never know exactly how it's going to fall out. So we'll hold our breath till Friday. I think they should be able to come up with something to spare the country more pain and sorrow. Another factor helping stocks somewhat, at least Chinese stocks that trade in the United States, is President Xi from the head of China is having a summit with President Biden. And they are coming to some agreements on fentanyl and having military communications so we don't have misunderstandings and accidentally get into conflict when we really want to avoid that. President Xi of China also more or less promised that they're not going to invade Taiwan anytime in the future unless Taiwan gets naughty. Now, we don't know what's going to count as naughty, but they better be nice if they don't want China to invade them. Another major concern, seemingly, if you listen to the networks, is the pandas. Now, China just took their pandas back from our zoo, or in the process of removing all their pandas from all our zoos. And people are really upset about this, and I wonder if they're going to talk about it. We all hope they return those cute, cuddly creatures. It really would be a good sign of good faith, and it would improve relations, just the atmosphere a little bit. We can agree to share pets with each other. That's always a nice thing. The individual stock that I like is Rolls-Royce, whose symbol is RYCEY. buy. And this is the aerospace and defense part. They make commercial engines, they make nuclear reactors for submarines and for your neighborhood. The SMU, small modular units, which are much safer and can be used for energy. It's a clean energy, and it's a solution until we can get more scaled up with solar and wind and other sources. Looking at the chart, in the week I've owned it, it's continued to go up, and its price to earnings is about 8, a little bit less than 8, and its earnings growth rate is a solid 30%. It seems to be making a turnaround. I'm sure they're providing lots of military engines, both for the Navy and for aerospace and for commercial airlines. I think it has a good growth outlook. The Magnificent Seven stocks make up more than 55% of the QQQ, which is the 100 largest stocks on the NASDAQ. Looking at the chart of these Magnificent Seven stocks, we only have 2 losers in the last month, and it's small losses. Tesla has lost about 3%. Google has lost about 2%. Apple has made 5%, as has Meta. Meta's also made about 5%. The bigger winners are NVIDIA, has made about 7.5%, and they come out with earnings on November 21st, which is going to be the big event. It's the last major technology stock, so it'll be a big deal. But the clear winners are Amazon at 10%, and the grand champion is Microsoft, almost 13%. If I was to trade the Magnificent Seven, if I was to pick individual stocks to trade right now for a trend, I think I would kind of avoid Microsoft just because it's run up so high so fast. I like NVIDIA. I think they're going to report earnings on the 21st, and they're likely to blow out the top. I think that's a good thing. And I'm also interested in Amazon. Amazon, it's the most likely to benefit from the Christmas rally. We order a lot of things from Amazon preceding Christmas. I also like Google, but I always like Google. But that would be my 4 favorites in order if I was to buy individual stocks. I don't feel confident enough in this market, and I'm more confident in trading them as a group by trading the QQQ and the TQQQ. And the QQQ is the more solid, more of a swing trade or longer trade event, and the TQQQ is for day trading in my mind, and that's what I'm doing right now, which actually for me I consider to be safe, but it might not be safe for anyone that doesn't have experience with it and isn't well acquainted with how it tends to move. I'm currently day trading because nobody has any idea where this stock market is going. It started to establish an uptrend, but we've had a downtrend for a pretty long time, and we are not certain how much we trust it. We do think there's a holiday rally coming, the Christmas rally, the Santa Claus rally. We're getting ready for it. We hope to be going up another 10 to 20%. I think that's possible. I think if we don't have any black swan events, I think that's what's likely to happen, is that we're likely to go up another 10 to 20%. Now, we're going to have pullbacks on and off throughout this, and you have to expect that. But hey, I'm day trading. I'll just sit out when it goes down, and I'll jump back in when it goes up, and I seem to be fairly good at doing that. It's something you have to practice, and you have to get used to. If you want to follow a trend and do a swing trade for like a month or something, I would do the QQQ. It's the safer option. The TQQQ is totally crazy, but if you're crazy like me, you might try it with small amounts until you get used to it, because it takes some getting used to. For most people, the QQQ is most appropriate, and for right now, I think swing trading is probably the most appropriate. And since 2019, I think swing trading has been mainly what we needed to do, except in that year of 2021 when you could literally trade anything and make money. You just held and bought more. Those were the days, huh? Well, hopefully we can return somewhat to those days, but I'm being cautious by day trading. Now, that sounds so weird to say cautious by day trading, but the big threat in this environment is overnight. Overnight, the price can change dramatically, and you cannot trade it. If they traded 24 hours a day, maybe I'd think about it, but I can't trade at night, so I don't think it's a good deal until we have an established uptrend. And we have the beginnings of an uptrend, but it's going to have to establish it more before I let my money sit in there overnight or for longer than a couple days at a time. Going long for me right now means letting it ride for a couple days at a time. And that's pretty wild with the triple Q, the TQQQ, because it moves and you can count on it moving. You just don't want to be moving with it when it's going down, and it takes practice to get used to that. Be sure to like and subscribe if this has captured your interest at all. It looks like we could have a very nice Thanksgiving, maybe a good Christmas, and a happy New Year. This is if things go well, if things go perfect, which is not really all that good of an assumption for now, which is why I'm day trading. I will lean into swing trading if it looks like it has staying power, and I might even hold long term. The individual stocks I buy, I usually just leave them alone for now, because I think like Rolls-Royce has a really positive future from the statistics that I see on it right now. Thank you.